Hello everyone, Vincent here and welcome back to another video. My last Genshin Impact video didn't do quite as well as I thought it would, but I do love this game and that's more than enough reason for me to make more videos about it. Version 1.2 just came out a few days ago or a few weeks ago, and I think this is a good time to release a new Genshin Impact video. And of course 1.3 is around the corner as well. Today we're going to talk about some tricks and tips that may help new players when just starting out the game. Do note that these tips that I'm about to discuss are basically a mashup of other YouTube videos that I've watched as well as things based on my experience. I will be linking other channels down in the description that I think are worth checking out if you're planning on playing the game more. The tips here are in no way, shape or form factual and absolute, and at the end of the day, it's your game. Play how you like to play the game. Let's get the obvious thing out of the way with the first entry, rerolling. With the nature of Genshin Impact's release, it reached audiences that are not familiar with gacha games. If you are one of those and you're currently giving this game a try, let me briefly explain what rerolling is. It's basically playing the game past the tutorial until you are given your free gacha pool. Some games give you an adequate amount of gacha currency that you can use to pull gacha, while others make the cost of pulling gacha absolutely free of charge for your first pull, or in some cases your first 10 pulls. Genshin Impact is the former. Since most gacha games are mobile only and you don't need an account to play the game, people would breeze through the tutorial, do the gacha pull, and if the item they got is not what they wanted, they would simply clear the data of the game through the settings, essentially resetting it, and they would start all over again ad nauseum until they get what they want. Before version update 1.1, rerolling in Genshin Impact was relatively easy. It goes like any other gacha game. Play the game without linking your email up to the point where you're forced to pull the gacha. If you get your desired characters, link your email. If not, register another account through username. The process takes about 30 minutes or so. However, after version update 1.1, MiHoYo made it so that you can only register through an email account and you won't be able to play the game unless you create a MiHoYo account, which means your email is already linked even before playing the game, making rerolling much harder and tedious since you need a new email every time you reroll. I'll leave a link down in the description of a guide on rerolling so you can check it out. It also includes things like tier list for the current event banner and other tips about rerolling. I myself have never rerolled. Not a fan of rerolling in gacha games. However, if you're the type of person that likes to get a head start in the game, rerolling is an absolute thing you need to do. But if you're like me that doesn't really want to go through the trouble of creating a new account, playing 30 to 40 minutes and making a new email account again just because you didn't get the character that you want, then not rerolling will not affect you that much. The free 4-star characters that you get and the default 5-star that you will be starting with, aka the Traveler, are more than enough to enjoy the game and even progress through the end game, which is the Spiral Abyss. Number 2. This is another tip for people where Genshin Impact is their first gacha game. Gacha games generally don't let you get characters that easily without spending money. They do give you free premium currency from time to time, although for Genshin Impact's case they give very little of it unless there's an event, but most of the time gacha games trick you into spending money. There are exceptions to this, of course, like the 2 gacha games that I reviewed in this channel, where you can literally spend no money in the game and get all the limited time characters with just the free premium currency that they give you. Gacha games are a little bit different from other online games like, say, an MMORPG where you can get all the characters that you want by just creating them in the login screen and spending little to no money to do so. Anyways, if you do not plan on spending money in this game, which I totally recommend, what I can suggest that you refrain from using every premium currency that the game gives you and wait for the event banner of the 5-star character that you want. If you really want to make your premium currency super worth, you can also check the 4-star characters that come with the event banner to make sure that if you pull the gacha, you will be getting characters that you like. However, the game does have a heart and isn't purely selfish. This goes the same for most gacha games as well, but in Genshin Impact, if you've done a certain number of pulls and still didn't get a 5-star item, the game will be forced to give you one. This is called the pity system and it also works for 4-star items. It is explained in the details page of the gacha screen, but I'll mention it here. The way it works is that the game ensures that you won't get past 10 pulls without at least one 4-star item. may it be a weapon or a character. You are always guaranteed to get a 4-star item every 10 pulls, starting from the last 4-star item that you got, regardless if you achieve these 10 pulls through the times 1 button or the times 10 button. The same principle works for 5-star items, but instead of 10 pulls, it's 90 pulls. So every 90 pulls since the last time you get a 5-star item, you are guaranteed to get at least one 5-star item. You can think of this as a counter where every time you pull the gacha, the 10 pull counter increments by 1 and resets back to 0 when you get a 4-star item. Likewise, the 90 pull counter will reset back to 0 when you get a 5-star character. These counters are also different for each banner. Pulling from the event banner will not affect the counter for the event weapons banner or the standard gacha banner, and vice versa. And the good news is that the counter does not reset when the event banner ends. You can use this to your advantage by carefully pulling the gacha and anticipating when you will be receiving a 5-star character. Because there are times when you like the 5-star character in the next event banner, but you like the 4-star characters more in the current banner. You can use the number of times you have pulled as a point of reference so that you can control your odds of pulling a 5-star item in the current event banner, ruining your chance to get the 5-star item that you want in the next banner. There's also an additional gimmick with the gacha where the game guarantees that you get specific characters. During an event banner, there are items that have their drop rates increased, termed promotional characters or weapons, where you are more likely to get them than the other items that are in the gacha pool. In normal circumstances, when you get a 4-star or a 5-star item, there is a 50% chance that the item will be one of the promotional items. If you didn't get a promotional item, the next 4-star or 5-star item that you will be getting will be guaranteed to be one of the promotional items, or in the case of event character or weapon banners, the promotional 5-star character or weapons. Using this knowledge, you can plan when you will be pulling the gacha. As of the moment, there isn't a gacha counter visible in the gacha screen, so you need to do the counting manually through the history page of the gacha screen. Number 3. Lessening stamina drain during climbing and swimming. Attacking enemies doesn't consume stamina except when executing charge attacks. This isn't a Souls-like game after all. But certain actions like swimming in the waters, climbing mountains, gliding, or just sprinting/dashing will cost you stamina, which you can see as a yellow bar beside your character while doing these actions. Running out of stamina while you're sprinting is relatively safe, although it can put you in a tight situation during combat, but running out of stamina while climbing, gliding, or swimming is really dangerous. Running out of stamina while climbing or gliding depends on your situation, but obviously during swimming, it outright drowns you and sends you back to the nearest land while damaging your current active character. So, here are some tips that can help you lessen the stamina drain that these actions do. For climbing, do not use the spacebar, or its equivalent button for other platforms. Sure, you make a big jump in exchange for stamina, but you will be covering more distance than that if you spend the same amount of stamina by just climbing slowly. It is more cost efficient. The trick with swimming is somewhat similar. Instead of avoiding to press space, refrain from holding the shift key to swim faster. The stamina you will spend swimming faster will cover more distance if you use it while swimming slower. And if you really can't help but run out of stamina while swimming, instead of just waiting for your stamina to go completely empty and your character drown, you can always teleport to a waypoint before it happens. Looking at the map essentially pauses the game, so you don't have to worry about drowning while searching for a waypoint to teleport to. The same goes when falling off a sheer cliff, although sometimes if you're already near the ground, your character can still die before the game goes into the loading screen after selecting a waypoint, so be careful about that. Next up is about using your map markers. When you open your map, you'd notice that you can click or tap anywhere on it to put your custom marker. You can place 99 custom markers in the map, and this is absolutely useful. The first thing that you want to use your markers for is to mark mineral veins. Throughout the game, you will be made aware that minerals like iron, crystals, and the like are pretty much mandatory to be mined if you want to craft or upgrade your weapons. Mineral veins are scattered throughout Teyvat, and you won't see them in the map. So if you happen to find a mineral vein, mark them in your map with the conveniently included pickaxe symbol and name what minerals can be found there. Starting version 1.1, the blacksmith in each region also gives you places of where you can get huge amounts of minerals, but of course they do not mark all the locations for you. Exploring and marking it for yourself in your map is a surefire way to do so, but asking the blacksmiths for the locations can tremendously help your mining adventures. The next thing that you can do with your custom markers is to use it to mark enemy locations. The Adventurer Handbook that will be given to you early in the game can point you to these enemies' locations, but it only gives you a limited amount. So if you see a very special enemy roaming around the map, be sure to mark the location on your map. Number 5. You can still gain adventure rank even if you don't increase your world level. Perhaps you aren't comfortable with increasing your world level and just want to stay on a specific one. Don't be afraid of the thought of wasting adventure experience because they still accumulate even if you're already on the max adventure rank for your world level. If you've watched my Warframe videos or you're playing Warframe, it's kind of similar to Mastery rank and how Mastery points don't get wasted if you don't do your Mastery rank test. Number 6. Artifact domains are a scam. Kind of. The player base is divided when it comes to this, and I think this all boils down to personal preference. The advice that I can give you all is to do the artifact domains if you want a specific set of artifacts for a character. Maybe you're investing into Noelle. And as we all know by now, one specific artifact is mad insane on her, so of course you would want to farm it as soon as possible. The thing is, on adventure ranks less than 40, the chance of getting a 4-star artifacts are really low, let alone a 5-star. And 3-star artifacts aren't really cost efficient when upgrading them. So what I can suggest, try to do artifact domains starting adventure rank 40 if you really need a specific artifact set that badly. Of course, adventure rank 45 and above is the best adventure rank to farm artifacts because of how frequent you can get 5-star artifacts, but the amount of 4-star artifacts that you can get from adventure rank 40 should be sufficient to kickstart your party members. In my case, my main party all use free 4-star and 5-star artifacts. My Geo Traveler has 3 4-star Gladiator's Finale pieces and 2 4-star Berserker pieces. My Lisa has 2 4-star Instructor pieces and a placeholder Lucky Dog, which I will be replacing with Thundering Fury pretty soon. My Barbara has a full 4-piece set Instructor and my Kea has 4-piece set Martial Arts set. These are all from chests and rewards from the Adventurer Handbook and bosses and through the weekly and elite bosses. Even when I get new characters like Jin and Beidou for example, all the artifacts they're wearing are still the free stuff that you can get from bosses like, again, Gladiator's Finale sets. That's just how I would tackle this, and again, like I said earlier, it's pretty much boils down to personal preference. For me, spending your resin elsewhere is much more worthwhile until you reach adventure rank 45. And speaking of those resin costing activities, let's talk about that. Number 7. Always make sure to leave some resin for Mora Leylines. Everything that you do in this game that is related to improving your characters costs Mora. Early on, the game will be giving you huge amounts of Mora, but it will start to dwindle down quicker the higher the level your characters get, even if you're only leveling 4 characters for a full party, not to mention their weapons and artifacts. And eventually, you may want to level up even more characters because of Spiral Abyss, which requires 2 separate parties with at least 1 member each. This is important because the Spiral Abyss is the most lucrative way of acquiring Primo Gems as a free-to-play player. Personally, I don't find spending Primogems to refill resins worthwhile. Again, this is personal preference, and if you have some pocket change that you can spend, then feel free to do so. Speaking of strengthening your characters, make sure to invest on different types of characters. Investing on a character that you like is fine, but make sure you invest on supports like Barbara or other characters like her. You may also want to invest on DPS characters like Razor or the Traveler themselves. I did the latter and they do just fine. This is to make sure that you don't get overwhelmed by the increasing difficulty of domains and roaming enemies when you increase your world level. Not that the difficulty increase in roaming enemies is significant, but it's still better to be safe than sorry. It will also help you clear the Spiral Abyss much easier. Some of the DPS characters that you can invest on as a free-to-play are Razor, as I've mentioned before, Xiangling, the Traveler, and Fischl. Ningguang is also a pretty nice choice for a DPS. Noelle, an easy 4-star character you can get as a new player, can be built as a DPS as well, although it requires 6 duplicates of hers to unlock all of her constellation to do the proper DPS build. But a Constellation 0 Noelle can be pretty powerful as well with the right build and weapon. You can also invest on characters that can create powerful elemental reactions for those pesky enemies that have high physical defense. Overload seems to be the most powerful elemental reaction you can make. But of course, it against Pyro Slimes or the shields of the Pyro Abyss Mages or Fatui Pyro Sling Abrasers, but I personally like Electrocharge more. This is why I have Lisa on my party for easy Electrocharge reactions. Having different types of characters in your party is really useful, and it also gives you more choices when doing co-op in domains. Number 9. Going in tandem with tip number 8, always make sure to level up your character's talents. A lot of players seems to ignore this, but character talents are actually what makes them scale and grow stronger. Of course, leveling them up and their weapons will make them stronger, obviously, but talents are what give them an overall boost that increases the scaling of the damage that your character's normal attack, elemental skill, and elemental burst do. Be sure to note as well on where their elemental skills and elemental burst scale. For example, Noelle's elemental burst scales with her defense stat. Her elemental skill's healing rate is also affected by her defense stat. The healing rate of Barbara's elemental skill and burst scales with her HP stat, and Jean's elemental burst will also heal party members' skills with her attack stat. Notice how all these abilities heal characters but scale off of different stats. Be sure to equip your characters with artifacts with the correct stats to further make them stronger. And finally, number 10. Remember to do your weekly bosses. Weekly bosses drop a lot of goodies that you will eventually need, especially the Gladiator's Finale and Berserker sets of artifacts that pretty much can be equipped on every character. But the most important thing about these weekly bosses is that they have a chance to drop North to Lander weapon prototypes, which you need to craft free 4-star weapons through the blacksmith. Aside from the one-time purchase that you can do from the souvenir shops in Mondstadt and Liyue, the weekly bosses are the only constant sources of weapon prototypes as of the making of this video. These weekly bosses also drop the materials required to further level your character's talents up, starting from base talent level 6. These don't drop until world level 5 for the Northwolf challenge, however, or adventure rank 40 for Storm Terror Slayer and the Golden House challenges. The Storm Terror Slayer cannot be co-opted, but if you're having difficulty beating the Northwolf challenge or the Golden House challenge, you can always ask for help in various Genshin Impact communities. That's all for me today. If you've reached this part of the video, thank you so much for sticking by. Be sure to check out the channels that I will be linking in the description for more constant Genshin Impact videos. Like the video if you enjoyed it or if you learned something new. Don't if you didn't. Subscribe for more content like this. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.